to me, that's the fun part. Even if it's a failed kiln, while that's kind of miserable, there's almost always something exciting coming. I mean, I'm still excited. I always open the kiln at 400 degrees, whether I've got another kiln load waiting to go or not, because like that's exciting. I want to see what's in there. My first real legitimate interest beyond just sort of schoolwork was as a high school junior. I think my high school ceramics teacher saw my interest and encouraged me to go to a wood firing, and I went to a wood firing at a kiln here in town and spent the day essentially stoking the kiln with the person who owned it. And at that point I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I need to do this. I graduated from Goshen College in 2000 it's a liberal arts school, so I have an undergrad degree in art essentially, but it's focused in clay. And at the time when I graduated, I was doing some sculpture stuff too, but it was more functional, like furniture stuff. After college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I either wanted to do something related to furniture or cabinetry, or something related to clay. And I did a year of voluntary service in Pittsburgh with PULSE, which is an acronym for Pittsburgh Urban Leadership Service Experience. So I spent a year as sort of an apprentice there. But that was when I realized that I did not want to do furniture as a job. I still enjoy it, but I ended up buying my own potter's wheel and setting up a studio in the basement of my house. I had a wheel and could get clay from Standard Ceramics, but I didn't have a kiln. And there wasn't a place to do that in Pittsburgh where you could just take work and have it fired. That evolved into starting the nonprofit Union Project in 2001, and I was hired on as the first employee there. And in 2005, the Union Project sort of opened its doors as a public venue, and Brooke and I moved to Goshen in 2009. My primary production line is an earthenware line. As far as the process for that goes, I take the wet clay, I throw the pots, I make the pieces, I bisque fire them. And then I work primarily with two glazes, a white glaze and a black glaze. Occasionally I bring in color, but rarely. So each piece is then glazed, and I do a firing of glazed ware. And then I do decal work. And usually with decals, there's at least one decal firing of iron toners, and that's to 09. And they all get decorated with some form of decals. They go back in the kiln. When they come out, if it's a face mug, like an image of Abe Lincoln or Mr. Rogers or something like that, then it's finished. If it has more of a decorative flowery design like poppies or koi fish or something like that, then I apply those color decals, and everything gets fired a fourth time, usually to around cone 015. So that's the production line. I also have a wood kiln that I fire. It's a 2-chamber Noborigama kiln. Usually I fire for 70 hours. So 70 hours from the time the fire is lit till we stop feeding wood into the fire. And if pieces turn out great, then they're done when they come out of the wood kiln. If I feel like there can be some embellishment on them, then I may refire them in an electric kiln with more glaze, or refire them with more decals. And so that may add a couple more days onto the process. I would say the vast majority of my work is fired at minimum 3 times. Some pieces get fired 7 or 8 times, depending on how many layers I want to build up.
Over the mountains of cold dust and ghosts, no one is watching me close.
The thing I love about decals is that any image that exists can be made into a decal. I have a whole line of presidential wear, and that sort of evolved out of an interest in looking at both historic and contemporary American icons. So now I do all of the presidents, all 44 presidents. The presidential icons sort of evolved more contemporary icons like Mr. Rogers, or Barney Fife was a big hit for a couple years. The other design that I do that's really fairly popular is a poppy, And that sort of evolved out of a response to the war in Afghanistan and trying to think about dinnerware in response to that, but that's something that's pleasant to look at. So the iron toner transfers are actually an image of a soldier in a poppy field that has been sort of made into a very high contrast image, so you can kind of pick out the soldier, but it's not necessarily easy to see. And then the red poppies, I brought those in to add color. I think being a maker, craft artist, working artist in general is you have to enjoy it because it's as much a lifestyle as it is a profession. And so similarly, living out here in the woods, like that's a lifestyle choice that also happens to work really well with having a wood kiln. And so I think those things are important. If your dream is to be a studio artist, then the lifestyle kind of has to go along with that in some respects. Otherwise, you find yourself working 24 hours a day and considering it work.
Sometimes things happen like a gum on your shoe. Hold on to me and I'll hold